Right now, somewhere in America, someone is about to spend $1,200, $1,500, maybe $2,000 on a brand new TV. And the main reason they're doing it is because their current one developed a faint ghost image that won't go away. That ghost image has a name. It's called burn-in. It's called burn-in in the TV manufacturers. They're perfectly fine with you not fully understanding what it is, why it happens, or most importantly, how completely preventable it is. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Most old burn-in cases are not hardware failures. They are user behavior failures. And in this video, we're going to fix that. We're going to dig into the actual science of how an old pixel degrades at the material level. We're going to walk through why certain content destroys panels faster than others. And then most importantly, we're going to build you a practical step-by-step protection system that costs you nothing, takes about 20 minutes to set up, and can realistically extend the life of your panel by 5, 6, 7 years or more. That's not a marketing claim. It's organic chemistry and display physics working in your favor, once you actually understand them. Welcome to Tech or New Deep Dive. I'm not here to sell you a new TV. I'm here to help you keep the one you have. Let's start with money, because that's what this is really about. The average American replaces their primary television every 7 to 8 years, according to consumer electronics industry data. But the average lifespan of a well-maintained old panel based on accelerated aging tests from labs like rtings.com is north of 100,000 hours of actual use. Do the math. At 5 hours of viewing per day, 100,000 hours is over 54 years of use. You are not replacing your TV because the panel wore out. You're replacing it because of preventable, localized pixel degradation that you didn't know how to avoid. That's the gap this channel exists to close. Now, why should you trust me on this rather than some forum post or a random Reddit thread? Fair question. I've spent years breaking down consumer electronics at the component level, not for casual content, but to build a systematic, science-backed framework for hardware longevity. The approach on this channel is always the same. Understand the failure mechanism first, then engineer around it, not tricks, not magic settings. Actual cause and effect relationships. So let's get into the deep dive. I promise once you understand this, you'll never look at your TV the same way again. OLED stands for organic light emitting diode. The word you need to focus on is organic. Unlike an LCD screen, which uses a static backlight behind liquid crystals. An old panel is made of carbon-based compounds that physically emit light when electricity passes through them. Each pixel in your old TV is essentially a tiny organic chemical factory. And like all organic compounds, they degrade over time through a process called electroluminescent decay, the gradual breakdown of the organic molecules as they respond to electrical stress and oxidation. Here's the critical piece. This degradation is not uniform. It is cumulative and localized. Every time a pixel emits light at a certain brightness level, those organic molecules experience a small amount of stress. The brighter the output, the more stress. The longer that pixel stays at that brightness, the more cumulative damage. Now imagine a news channel logo, say a bright red or white network bug, sitting in the bottom right corner of your screen for 6 hours a day. Those specific pixels are being hammered at high brightness, while the pixels around them are cycling through normal content. Over weeks and months, those logo pixels degrade faster. Their maximum brightness capability drops. And when you finally switch to a movie with a fully white scene, those pixels can no longer keep up with their neighbors. You see the ghost, you see the burn-in. That is the complete mechanism. That is all burn-in is. It is not a mystery. It is not bad luck. It is localized, accelerated, organic material degradation from sustained high-brightness static content. Now let's break down the 3 biggest risk factors because they're probably not what you think. Risk factor number 1 is not overall brightness, it's static element duration. 10,000 nit. High dynamic range, or HDR. Movie scene is actually less damaging than a 500 nit news channel watched for 4 hours straight, because the movie content is constantly changing, which pixels are stressed. The news ticker never moves. The logo never moves. The differential stress accumulates exactly where those elements are. Risk factor number 2 is the blue subpixel problem. Inside every old pixel, there are subpixels red, green, and blue light emitters working together. Blue organic emitters are chemically less stable than their red and green counterparts. They degrade faster. This is a known materials science limitation in current OLED technology. What does this mean practically? High brightness white content is particularly destructive to OLED panels. White requires all 3 subpixels firing at full intensity. Since your blue subpixel degrades fastest, a panel that has seen a lot of white static content will start to shift slightly yellow in those areas over time as the blue output weakens. Risk factor number 3 is heat. Organic compounds degrade faster at elevated temperatures. A TV mounted in a cabinet with poor ventilation, or in a room that gets warm in the afternoon and the TV is on during those hours, that is quietly accelerating your panel's aging at the molecular level. This one is almost never mentioned in mainstream TV reviews. So you have 3 compounding risk factors: static content duration, high brightness, white elements, and thermal environment. When all 3 hit simultaneously like a news channel playing all day in a warm living room, you are maximally accelerating panel degradation. Now you understand the enemy. Let's build the defense system. Step 1. Audit your content habits right now. Seriously, before you do anything else, think about what's actually on your screen the most. Yeah, if you're a sports fan, you have a score bug on screen for hours. If you're a news household, you have tickers and logos running constantly. If you're a gamer, you might have a game user interface with a static health bar and minimap burning into your screen for 6-hour sessions. Identify your highest risk use case. That tells you where to focus. Step 2. Enable your panel's built-in protection features, but actually understand what you're turning on. Every major OLED manufacturer, LG, Sony, Panasonic, includes a suite of tools specifically designed to combat burn-in. But most users either don't know they exist or don't have them configured correctly. The first feature is Pixel Refresher, which on LG panels runs automatically after 4 hours of use and can also be run manually from the menu. This process applies a specific voltage pattern to all pixels to equalize their wear state. Think of it as redistributing the stress. Run the full manual cycle, which takes about an hour. Once a month, if you're a heavy user. The second feature is Screen Shift, sometimes called pixel orbiting. This micro shifts the entire image by 1 or 2 pixels at random intervals, so a static logo is not always hitting the exact same group of subpixels. It's imperceptible to the human eye at normal viewing distances, but it distributes the wear footprint over a slightly larger pixel area. This should be on always. The third feature is Logo Luminance Adjustment, available on LG's OLED Evo panels and several Sony Bravia OLED models. This uses content analysis to detect static bright regions that match known broadcaster logo shapes and automatically lowers the luminance of those specific areas. It is remarkably effective and completely invisible in normal use. Turn it on. Leave it on. Step 3. Recalibrate your brightness settings with an understanding of the physics. This is probably the single highest impact change you can make in under 5 minutes. Most TVs come from the factory in a mode called Vivid or Dynamic. This is a showroom setting. It is designed to catch your eye under harsh fluorescent retail lighting. In a normal home environment, it is pushing your OLED pixels to maximum stress for zero perceptual benefit. You don't actually see better picture in your living room at maximum brightness. You just see faster panel degradation. Switch to cinema mode or the equivalent calibrated picture mode on your set. If you want to go further, use a free test disc or a calibration app to bring your average picture level down to something closer to 40 to 50% of maximum brightness. For most home viewing environments, this is actually the more accurate and more visually pleasing setting, and it can cut your panel's organic degradation rate roughly in half. Step 4. Address your thermal environment. Check that your TV has at least 3 to 4 inches of clearance above and on both sides. If it's in a media cabinet, that cabinet needs ventilation, either open shelving or cut vents. A 5 degrees Celsius reduction in your panel's operating temperature during extended use can meaningfully slow organic degradation. This is basic thermodynamics applied to display longevity. Step 5. Use input signal management for higher risk use cases. If you're a gamer, enable your TV's built-in game preset with reduced peak brightness, not for input lag reasons, but for burn-in protection. Many modern panels also have a dedicated game mode that slightly desaturates the UI layer to reduce subpixel stress on static game interface elements. It's a minor visual compromise for a major longevity benefit. If you watch a lot of news or cable TV, here is a slightly advanced move. Use your TV's zoom or aspect ratio settings to occasionally shift the image position. Some news channels will crop slightly, but if you spend 30 minutes every session with the image zoomed in by one step, you're moving that logo to a slightly different pixel region and preventing concentrated wear in one spot. Step 6. Set a content schedule and use power management correctly. This one sounds basic, but it has a real impact. Most people leave their TVs running in the background as audio, as ambient content. An old screen displaying a static screensaver or a paused menu for hours is getting maximum localized stress with zero viewing benefit. Set your auto power off timer to 60 minutes maximum. Use the sleep timer when you're watching before bed. And if you want ambient sound in your home, turn the screen brightness to minimum or use a separate audio source. Your panel doesn't need to be on to fill a room with sound. Step 7. Run a manual pixel refresh cycle every 30 days. I already mentioned this in Step 2, but I want to call it out as its own scheduled maintenance action. Put it in your phone calendar. Monthly, 30 minutes before you go to bed, navigate to your TV's panel care or self-diagnosis menu and run the full pixel refresher. In LG's WebOS, you'll find it under Support, then Old Care, then Panel Care. Sony Bravia old panels have a similar function under Display and Sound settings. This one action, done consistently, has been documented by independent testers to measurably equalize pixel wear and reduce visible differential aging over multi-year timelines. Now, let's address a question I know is in the comments right now. Is it already too late? If you've got some visible burn-in, is any of this useful? The answer is nuanced, and I want to give you an honest one. Mild image retention, where you see a ghost image that fades after a few minutes or hours of normal use, is often fully reversible. Run the pixel refresher, reduce your brightness, and give the panel a week of normal use with varied content. Many cases of what people call burn-in are actually temporary image retention. From the organic material being in a stress state, not from permanent molecular degradation. True permanent burn-in, where the differential is visible on a solid white screen, even after multiple pixel refresh cycles, represents actual physical degradation of the organic layer that is not reversible through software tools. But here's what people miss. Even with some burn-in present, everything we've talked about today still applies. You can stop the progression. A panel with light burn-in that is properly managed from this point forward will remain functionally usable for years. The degradation is not accelerating unless you keep feeding it the conditions that caused it. Think of it like stopping a bad habit. Damage you've accumulated doesn't disappear, but the rate of future damage drops dramatically when you remove the cause. So what does all of this mean for the actual dollar value of your TV? A mid-range old television in the United States today costs between $800 and $1,500. A premium OLED like an LG G series or Sony a 95 series runs $2,000 to $4,000 or more. The depreciation curve on consumer electronics is steep in the first 2 to 3 years, then it flattens. If you can extend your panel's functional life from an average of 7 to 8 years to 12 to 15 years through the methods we've covered today, you are essentially doubling the return on your original investment. At a $1,000 purchase price, that's $500 in preserved value per additional year of quality use. That's not a small number. That's a decision that compounds over a lifetime of purchasing decisions. This is the core philosophy of TechRenew Deep Dive. We are not anti-technology. We are pro-intelligence when it comes to the technology you already own. The best upgrade is almost always a deeper understanding of what you have. And one last thought I want to leave you with, because I think it matters beyond the money. The consumer electronics industry generates approximately 50 million metric tons of electronic waste globally every year. The United States contributes more per capita than almost any other nation. A significant portion of that waste is devices that were not at the end of their functional life. They were at the end of their owner's patience, or knowledge, or both. Every television, every laptop, every device you keep running for an extra 3 years instead of replacing is a concrete, personal contribution to slowing that down. That's not a lecture. It's just the math of what informed ownership looks like at scale. If you found this useful, subscribe because this is exactly what we do here. Every week we pick a piece of technology that the industry wants you to replace, and we show you exactly how to make it last. Drop a comment below. What is your biggest burn-in fear right now? Sports content? news channels, gaming? It'll tell me your use case, and I'll give you a personalized recommendation right there in the replies. The next video is going to cover laptop battery degradation, specifically the electrochemical reason your battery capacity drops, and the exact charge thresholds that will double your battery's usable lifespan. It's the same framework. Understand the physics, engineer around it, keep your money in your pocket. See you there.